So this is just a description about the reforms and how these responses have been given on the right hand side of the screen. You will see that is the documents which have actually brought about the reforms. So the first of the reforms, the important ones we have listed out here. Uh, Implementing a system to allow online application submission. So this we have been having, and 100% of the applications in Tata Power DDL system for new connection are now being made online. Earlier, it used to be mandatory for 50 kVA and above loads, where the EODB cases were covered. But now it is across the board. And we also received a letter from the Chief Secretary Delhi asking various organizations in GNCTD and also the utilities to convert their offline processes into online. So that has come as a real boost to us as well, and we have converted number of our offline processes into online, and that includes the new connection process. So the next one is to reduce the number of mandatory documents required for obtaining a new connection. So this is a reform which has been driven largely because of the need which was pressed by EODB, and the regulator took cognizance of this need and reduced the number of documents required. Now only two documents are required to get a new connection. One is the proof of identity, and the other is ownership or occupancy proof. So in case of, it is only in case of firm or company they have to submit the authorization document to the, declaring somebody as authorized signatory for executing documentation part. So this has actually helped us in bringing the number of procedures down. The next important reform that has taken place is that regulator now publishes monthly or quarterly data regarding the total duration and frequency of outages. So this data is available on the regulator's website. We on a continuous basis, we provide the details to the regulator in the formats which have been designed by him, and this data is available in public domain. And in fact, World Bank also refers to this data in public domain to verify the claims that we make in response to the questionnaire that we get. Yeah, information relating to tariffs is also displayed online. This is also one of the requirements of World Bank when they evaluate the case study. So this information is much available on the website, and the link through which this information can be accessed is provided on the right side. Discoms notify to the customers the planned outages. So this we have been doing for last many years now, and there is a firm process in place. The links are also mentioned, so the customer knows well in advance when the outage is scheduled in his area and what would be the duration of that outage. The next one is stipulating charges, the charge electrical connection up to 150 kVA is provided within 7 days if there is no ROW requirement, and in 15 days if ROW is required. So we have been adhering to these timelines very, very strictly. And in fact, none of the connections have gone beyond the stipulated timelines in the last financial year, in the current financial year till this date, and also in the year which was prior to the LFY. So we have been able to abide by this prescription of the World Bank, and no default has been observed on this count. And again, publishing online dashboard in public domain for weekly, fortnightly, monthly, for all new connection applications that are provided. So we have this. This actually refers to EODB connections. So we do provide this weekly, fortnightly, monthly update, and the link on which these can be seen along with the formats which are referred to is provided on the right side. There is also a requirement to design an online system for e-payment of bill on portals for of Discom. So that is very much there, and it has been there for some time now. So it's a new, not a new addition. but this is what we are following. So this is the reform journey from DB 2015 onwards, and the major ones are cited here, the milestones actually. How the Central Electricity Authority, the DERC, the Delhi government, in certain instances, Ministry of Power lent a push. All the authorities have combined their efforts to push the reform process, and it has actually brought all the change about, like, for instance, installation of transformers up to 500 kVA on pole. So this was a major change, because earlier, plinth was required, and setting up a plinth is never easy because of the space, which is normally not available. And again, laying a plinth does take a long time as well. So it comes as a major change. Electrical inspectors clearance. This authority was delegated to discoms up to 11 kV, and now, of course, it has been increased up to 33 kV level by the Delhi government. So again, we see a reform, pushed by CEA, and another one by Delhi government. Then, of course, there was tariff rationalization of loads up to 140 kilowatt for industrial and non-domestic connections by DERC, and we have attached the annexure of the DERC order for validation. The tracking of real-time application status through TPDDL website. This has been there for some time now. So this is also one enablement which has actually gone on well in the World Bank analysis of our inputs when we send to them for evaluation. Payment of DN through online channels. This has also been there but this is again a reform which means quite a lot in World Bank assessment. Energization of connection in 15 days. We have been doing this, and all these things we have been doing this since 2015 onwards, as you can see in the roadmap which is shown in the screen. Then fixed cost towards service line for LT loads above 100 kilowatt was made 310 per kilowatt per kVA, and number of procedures for obtaining new connections have been reduced to 3. Only yesterday we received an order from DERC saying that now the procedures would be 2. This is based on the last meeting that LG took, where Department of Power was also represented. And then the Secretary Power held a meeting with the regulator, where we were also, the DISCOMs were also present. And based on the discussions that took place, the regulator has now reduced the count of procedures from 3 to 2. And the order is dated the 18th of December 2020, received only yesterday by us. So the next reform we would like to discuss here is for the year 2017, when the revision of application form to remove certificate details of electrical contractor, lift inspector, fire services, etc. by DERC. This was a change made in the regulation by the DERC. And mandatory online application for all LT loads above 100 kVA. This has also been a change which was brought about by the regulator in the regulations. Electricity bill is only for electricity supply to the premises occupied by consumer, and should not be construed as having bearing on rights or titles over premises. So this is again a clarificatory amendment which was brought out by the regulator. And tracking of real-time application status. Of course, this is now, earlier it was limited to website, and now we have brought it to the mobile level. And simplification of documents by DERC, only 2 documents. This is now formalized in form of an amendment to the regulation, and the new regulations have come into force from 1st September 2017. And as I mentioned, the electrical inspectors clearance, now the DISCOMs are authorized to give clearance up to 33 kV level at their own through their own engineers. Service line development charges. This comes as a major reform in the sense that earlier the cost was 25,000, which a applicant had to bear on account of service line development charges. It has now been reduced to 15,000, and in the World Bank's study, when they evaluate, because they evaluate time, cost, and procedure. So on the cost element, this has a very good impact, and it has. We are hopeful that it will help us in improving our rankings, maybe in the report that comes soon for the FY20. Formulation of dig and restore policy for ROW by Delhi government. So this we already have in place, and the link, it has been attached there in the link which has been provided. And new connections up to 200 kilowatt sanction load are now released on LT voltage as per the guidelines of the regulator. And this again has been attached there for an evidence as annexure in the link. So all these reforms that took place, what have they actually done for India in terms of getting electricity parameter on the ranking count? So we can see from DB15 and up to DB20, we have mentioned our rankings, how we stood in ranks these years, beginning from 137 in DB15 and maturing to 22nd rank in DB20. And how these changes have been brought about. We also have given the description of how we have done on time, cost, and procedure, as well as the reliability elements of this World Bank study. And there is a marked improvement in each one of them. If you see on the time part of it, from 138 days to 27 days, and we are hopeful in this report it will be far less than 27 days this time. And from cost, it has come down to 46 from 845, and in terms of procedure, from 7 procedures we are now down to 3, and we have finally reduced it to 2. And on the reliability parameter, we get the scoring is out of 8 actually. So we initially had a score of 5 out of 8, where we have now obtained a score of 6 out of 8. So all this is how, with help of various reforms that have been undertaken through various authorities, like the state regulator, by the state government power department, by the central government, Central Electricity Authority, and also DIPP has been driving it in a very, very major way, engaging with all the stakeholders and emphasizing the requirement of pushing the reforms at a great speed. And in a matter of 5 years, whatever the change that we are observing is right before us. So if we look at this pyramid, and this is how we have reduced from 7 procedures, it only shows that, how we kept on dislodging the procedures. One at the very base, you see, these are 7 procedures at that time which were there. And we kept on dislodging 1 or 2 as we went up year on year. And finally, for DB20, we are at 3. But now we have graduated to 2 procedures. For the next year assessment, we will be filing for 2 procedures. So this is a description of actually the procedures as they were, and I won't go into the details. We'll go to the next slide, please. And that's it from me, from Tata Power EDL.